They stole my camera, so I called the cops. It was my fourth day at my new job as a photographer. I walked into the studio, ready to shoot, and froze. My camera, the high-end, professional rig I'd brought from home, was gone. Instead, another photographer was just holding it, fiddling with the settings, grinning like it was his all along. That's when I realized something. Some people don't respect boundaries. Some people think personal property is public. And some, they need to learn consequences the hard way. Photography had always been my dream. Ever since I was a kid, I carried around an old, beat-up camera, snapping shots at family gatherings, birthdays, and graduation ceremonies. It wasn't much, just a basic DSLR I'd saved up for over months of odd jobs. But to me, it was everything. I spent hours experimenting with angles, lighting, and composition. Some shots came out perfect. Others were blurry, overexposed, or just plain awkward. But every time I captured a moment that truly worked, it felt like magic, proof that I could tell a story without saying a word. I slowly built a portfolio, starting with family events, then volunteering for community gatherings, sports games, and small charity events. Each assignment taught me something new: how to work with people, anticipate moments, and turn ordinary scenes into compelling images. Eventually, I began dreaming bigger. I wanted to work professionally, to turn my hobby into a career. I studied gear, lighting, and advanced techniques. I saved every dollar I could to upgrade my setup, even if it meant months without anything new. And after years of persistence, I finally landed an interview at a mid-sized media company that specialized in editorial, commercial, and event photography. Walking into that office for the first time, camera in hand, I felt like I had crossed the threshold from dreamer to professional. On my first day, they handed me my own photography corner, a space I could call mine: lights, backdrop, tripods, and a camera setup. At first, I was thrilled. Finally, a place to grow, a place to show what I could do. But as I started inspecting it, excitement quickly turned to disappointment. Most of the equipment was old, worn, and barely functional. The lights flickered, the backdrops were faded, and the camera itself was adequate for snapshots, but far from professional quality. This wasn't the upgrade I had dreamed of, not the tools that could help me truly showcase my craft. It was a subtle but clear message. They saw me as just another rookie, someone with potential, maybe, but not worthy of the best resources. By day 3, it was clear: if I wanted to do the work I knew I was capable of, I couldn't wait for the studio to provide it. The rookie corner might have been theirs, but the results it could produce were mine to improve. I didn't have the money for a full professional setup. Cameras like the ones real pros used were well beyond my budget. But I refused to compromise my craft. I reached out to family and friends, explaining my plan, and slowly cobbled together enough support to buy a high-end DSLR and a few essential lenses, enough to get real work done, even if it wasn't the full dream setup. The rest of the corners still needed attention. The lighting rigs wobbled, some backdrops had holes, and certain stands were missing parts. I improvised carefully, using clamps, zip ties, and a little duct tape. Not flashy, not perfect, but functional. Every fix was a small gamble. I knew a lot could go wrong during a shoot, but I trusted my preparation and my own skill to carry it through. It wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't complete, but it worked. For the first time in that studio, I could produce images that reflected my vision, my standards, and the countless hours I'd invested in learning the craft. I wasn't just surviving. I was proving that determination, resourcefulness, and skill could make up for lack of privilege or equipment. It was my 4th morning at the studio, and I had my first professional shoot scheduled, a company client assigned to me. This was my chance to show what I could do, to prove that I belonged here, that all the long hours of learning and struggling weren't wasted. I arrived early, ready to test the lighting and make sure everything was perfect. But the moment I stepped in, my stomach dropped. My camera, the DSLR I had borrowed money to buy, the rig I had painstakingly assembled with essential lenses, was gone. Not just gone. It was in someone else's hands. And not just anyone. A senior photographer, with years of experience and an easy, smug confidence, was casually adjusting the settings like it had always been his. He didn't glance at me. He didn't acknowledge me. He didn't seem to care that it wasn't his property. I froze for a second, disbelief mixing with panic. My first professional shoot, my time to shine, and my tools, everything I had invested in, were in the wrong hands. I walked over, keeping my voice steady but firm. "Hey," I said, "that's my camera. I brought it from home. I need it for this shoot." He smirked, barely looking up. "Yeah? Too bad," and went back to fiddling with the camera, dismissing me entirely. Anger, frustration, and urgency collided inside me. This wasn't just a stolen camera anymore. It was my chance to prove myself. If I didn't get it back, I couldn't show what I was capable of, and the first impression I made on a client could be ruined before I even started. I stepped back, taking a deep breath. I realized I had a choice: let it slide and risk my opportunity, or confront the situation head-on. And I wasn't about to let someone else dictate my boundaries or the value of my work. I walked into the manager's office, trying to keep my voice steady. "That's my camera," I said. "I brought it from home. I need it for the shoot today." The manager looked at me, then at the senior photographer, a key figure in the studio, someone who had been here for years, whose opinion carried weight. Of course, the manager sided with him. "Cameras aren't assigned," he said. "First come, first serve." I swallowed hard. This isn't just any camera. It's mine. I brought it in, invested in it, and I needed to work properly. He leaned back in his chair, a casual shrug. "If you want to use personal gear, make sure it's available before anyone else shows up. You'll get your turn eventually." Eventually. His tone made it clear. In this studio, my time didn't matter. My work didn't matter. The senior photographer's comfort did. I felt a knot in my stomach. I had come so far. The long nights learning composition, the weekends photographing family events, the sweat and borrowed money to build a setup that finally let me do my craft justice. Was it really worth it? Was this the kind of place I wanted to work for? Images of my journey flashed through my mind. Tinkering with an old, beat-up camera at family gatherings, saving every penny to upgrade lenses, improvising with clamps and duct tape to make my corner functional, staying awake into the night editing shots, learning from every mistake. Every step had led me here, to my first real chance to shine, and now it was slipping away because of favoritism and indifference. I stepped out of the office, chest tight, heart racing. The reality was clear. If I didn't take action myself, my work, my investment, and my chance to prove myself would vanish. I couldn't rely on management to have my back. I had to draw the line myself. I walked back toward my photography corner, every step heavier than the last. My first real chance to prove myself was here, and yet my camera, my lifeline, was still in someone else's hands. He was in my corner, fiddling with the camera, adjusting settings as if it were his own. I stopped in front of him, taking a slow breath to steady my voice. "Listen," I said, "that camera is my personal equipment. I brought it in so I could actually do my job properly. I need it back now." He glanced at me, smirked, and leaned back in the chair. "Relax. You'll get it after I try a few shoots with it." That smirk made something snap inside me. All the hours spent perfecting my corner, improvising lighting, and preparing for this moment flashed through my mind. I wasn't about to let someone treat my work, my effort, and my first real opportunity like a toy. I squared my shoulders. "No, I need it for the shoot today. I'm not asking." He laughed, dismissive, clearly enjoying the upper hand. "What are you going to do about it?" I held his gaze, calm but firm. "Whatever it takes to get what's mine. This is my work, my chance, my camera. I won't let you or anyone else take that from me." For a moment, the studio seemed to hold its breath. People were watching. The balance of power was clear. He had seniority, management was on his side, and I was still the rookie. But I didn't flinch. I wasn't going to apologize for defending my work. This wasn't about ego. It wasn't about being confrontational for the sake of it. It was about boundaries, respect, ownership of my craft. And at that moment, I realized, if I didn't enforce those boundaries, I might as well pack up and walk away from the very thing I had worked so hard to achieve. I stepped back, taking a slow breath. My first real opportunity was slipping away, and nothing in the studio seemed willing to help me. The manager had already made it clear where their loyalty lay. This wasn't just frustrating, it was urgent. I watched him for a moment, fiddling with my camera, pretending he was just exploring settings, but I knew he was testing the limits, showing everyone that I could be dismissed. Every second he held it, my chance to prove myself ticked away. I made a choice. Calmly, I pulled out my phone. I wasn't looking for confrontation, I was looking for justice, for my work, my effort, my chance to shine. He noticed me dialing, his smirk faltering slightly. "What are you doing?" he asked. trying to sound casual. Getting it back, I said, keeping my voice steady. This is my equipment. I need it for the shoot. Now, the studio seemed to go silent. People were watching. Some looked shocked. Some looked uneasy. But I didn't care about their reactions. I cared about what was right. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to negotiate. I wasn't going to let my work be dismissed. I stood my ground. It was clear that if I wanted to protect what was mine, I had to be the one to enforce it. And I was ready. I took a deep breath and called the police. Not angrily, not shouting, just calmly explaining the situation. This was my personal camera. It had been taken without permission, and I needed help retrieving it. The studio went quiet as the officers arrived. Everyone stopped what they were doing, including the senior photographer, who finally looked uneasy. I laid out my case as clearly as I could. The receipt, the serial numbers, and my proof of ownership. Confronted with the evidence, he admitted it. No excuses. No denial. Just the truth. The officers asked if I wanted to press charges. My boss, clearly furious, stepped forward. If you press charges, you're fired, he said. I met his gaze steadily, feeling a strange calm wash over me. Yes, I want to press charges, I said. The room was silent. For the first time, everyone realized I wasn't backing down. I wasn't there to argue, negotiate, or make friends. I was there to protect what was mine, my tools, my work, and my chance to prove myself. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about ego. It was about setting a boundary and defending it. And I had finally done it. I was fired on the spot. No negotiation. No compromise. Just terminated. I picked up my camera, carried it past management, past the thief, and out the door. I didn't plan this. I didn't go in looking for drama. I lost a job. I kept my integrity. Some lessons cost money. Some cost comfort. Maybe the senior photographer will end up paying some of the debt I had to borrow to buy that camera. Maybe justice will catch up with him, or maybe it won't. Either way, I know this. I protected what was mine. I defended my work. I refused to let someone else dictate the value of my effort. Looking back, I realized something else. Respect isn't automatic. Boundaries aren't optional. Talent and effort are only as valuable as the person willing to fight for them. That day I did. And in the end, that mattered more than a job, more than a title, more than any temporary comfort. Some things, like your boundaries, your skill, and your integrity, aren't for sale. A few weeks later, I was back behind the lens, on my own terms, freelancing for family events, local projects, and small gigs. The confrontation at the studio, the fight to reclaim my camera, and even getting fired had done something unexpected. It gave me confidence. I no longer felt the need to prove myself to a company or rely on someone else's validation. Every shot I took reminded me why I started this journey in the first place. Photography wasn't about titles or paychecks. It was about creating, capturing moments, and expressing myself. Working independently, I felt sharper, more focused, and more inspired than ever. Clients noticed it too. My work carried a new energy, a sense of purpose. I didn't need a media company to define me or give me credibility. I could do that for myself. For the first time, I understood something crucial. I loved photography. I belonged wherever I chose to create, and that freedom was worth more than any temporary job, title, or recognition. And as I packed up my gear after another shoot, I smiled. I had lost a job, yes, but I had found my independence, my confidence, and the certainty that my craft was mine to shape.